Hi, and thanks for watching. I'm Jason with the Self-Represented Litigants Society, and this is Legal Terms That Begin with the Letter C. CAS is an acronym that stands for the Children's Aid Society. In Ontario, that is the Protection Agency for Children's Welfare. Case law is judge-made law and legal decisions from previous cases that form precedents for future cases. Depending on what level of court the case is, it can be binding or just persuasive. Case management is a process that gives parties in disputes scheduled opportunities to discuss the case in order to streamline proceedings. Usually, a case management officer or a judge will be assigned to do these in private. A cause of action is a situation that may entitle one person to obtain from the court a remedy against another person. An example of this would be in tort law, say for instance the tort of battery. The cause of action would be when the person struck the other person. A certificate is a document that attests to a fact or a court decision. A charge is a formal accusation of an offense as a preliminary step to prosecution. The Charter, or the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, is a part of the Canadian Constitution and guarantees individuals certain rights and freedoms, including the right to a fair trial. A child is a person under the age of 18 years of age, and in some circumstances a person under the age of 16. These are people without the same legal rights and responsibilities as those of adults. Child abduction is the taking of a child contrary to a court order or without the permission of the parent who has legal custody of the child. For further information on this topic, do an independent search of Hague Convention. The Child and Family Services Act is the Ontario law that governs child protection, secure treatment, adoption, and in some matters relating to young offenders. This is an Ontario law that establishes the exclusive authority of children's aid societies to investigate allegations that children may be in need of protection. The child support guidelines are Ontario-based, although their principles are founded into all of the jurisdictions across Canada. And these are essentially rules and tables that calculate the amount of child support that should be paid to the parent with whom the children reside based on the pair's income, number of children, and territory. Exceptions to the guidelines allow for a court to order different amounts in particular cases. The Children's Law Reform Act is an Ontario law that governs the finding or declaration of parentage, custody, and access to children, orders of restraining order, and guardianship as well. Although this is an Ontario law, there are similar laws in every jurisdiction across Canada of such. The OCL, or the Office of the Children's Lawyer, is another Ontario-based service provided by the Ministry of the Attorney General, although you can find services like these across Canada. These are offices filled with administrators and investigators as well as lawyers, people who deliver service on behalf of children under the age of 18 in respect of their personal and property rights. Typically, their involvement is by court order, and they also may take on such responsibilities as preparing reports for the court in assessing the best interests of the children's needs. Civil law is a law of civil or private rights, as distinct from criminal law. It's also a system of private legal rights based on Roman law and usually expressed in a code, for example, the Civil Code of Quebec. A claim is the assertion of a legal right. Essentially, this starts an action, and it may be put into a document such as a statement of claim, a counterclaim, a cross-claim, and a third-party claim. All of these are specific names given to documents and the types of claims in Ontario, although they exist possibly in different names in other provinces. A class action is a lawsuit commenced by a single person or a small group of people on behalf of a larger group of people who may all have legal action against the same defendant. Some special rules may apply to class action lawsuits, and they also may need court approval to move forward. A clerk of the court is an administrative officer in a court who is assigned some or all of the responsibilities of the court, such as signing court orders, issuing particular documents, maintaining the court's record, and performing other duties under the Courts of Justice Act or in other provinces administrative types of laws. It's good to note also that their functions may not necessarily be performed in a courtroom per se, but it may be that they perform their duties in a clerk's office outside of the court or in a separate building. Cohabit means to live together in a spousal relationship, whether within or outside of marriage. Commission means an act or action, a positive action, in contrast to an omission, an example of which could be just the commission of an offense, meaning the action of an offense or inside an offense. It also means to confirm with a person by asking him or her under oath or affirmation that the information he or she is providing in a document is true. Only a person that is authorized to commission a document may commission a document for the court. A commissioner or a commissioner for taking affidavits is a person authorized to administer oaths and affirmations, and before whom affidavits, declarations, and affirmations may be made. A person that stands up in the courtroom and asks a witness to place their hand on the Bible and take an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, is a person who is a commissioner. This same type of person, a commissioner for taking affidavits, may be located in the clerk's office at a courthouse for the purposes of administering oaths for commissioning affidavits. All lawyers licensed in Canada, as well as paralegals in Ontario, are commissioners for taking affidavits automatically. They cannot, however, commission their own affidavits. That is information that they are attesting to the truth of themselves. Common law is legal customs or past decisions of judges, essentially forming case law, in contrast to statute law or legislative law. This should not be confused with the term common law, which is used to describe a relationship where two people live together as spouses but are not married. Competence is a basic ability to do something. It determines such things as whether an individual can give evidence, stand trial, bring an action, make decisions with regard to property or personal care, or consent to something. A complainant is a person that brings a legal complaint against another person. It may include the victim of an alleged criminal offense. A confession is an admission of guilt, usually to a police officer. Consent is an agreement or permission that is given voluntarily by a competent person, either orally or in writing. It also refers to a written form of that same agreement. Most of the time, with an asterisk, when parties that conflict come to an agreement or come to get a consent between the parties on an issue, a judge will order in line with what that consent agrees with, although judges are not bound by any consent and they can take their own position on an issue. Contempt of court is conduct that defies the authority or dignity of a court, including disobeying a court order. To contest something means to oppose, resist, or disagree. The continuing record in family law cases, in Ontario at least, is the court's record of a case, which consists of written documents that have been filed with the court. A contract is an oral or written agreement between two or more parties, in which the parties make mutual promises to each other. The parties must be of at least 18 years of age and be mentally capable of entering into such an agreement. A conviction is the act of finding someone guilty. Costs are a money award made by a court or tribunal for expenses in bringing or defending a legal proceeding or a step in a proceeding. Costs may also be ordered against a party in favor of the other for failing to follow the court's directions or instructions before or during the case. It's usually said that costs follow the winner, especially in an adversarial system, with exception to criminal cases. Partial indemnity costs are costs awarded in civil matters against a party to pay some of the legal expenses incurred by the other party. Substantial indemnity costs, on the other hand, are costs awarded in civil matters against a party to pay most, but not all, of the actual legal expenses incurred by the other party. Counsel is a lawyer, especially in a court proceeding. It also refers to, in relation to an offense, to persuade or encourage a person to do something against the law. So that's called counseling somebody to commit a crime. And counseling can be added to any criminal offense in the criminal code. For instance, counseling to assault would be encouraging somebody to assault another person. A count is a criminal charge in an information or indictment. A creditor is a person to whom money is owed. The Crown is essentially the government. It consists of cabinet ministers and public servants, but not the legislature or judges. A Crown attorney is a lawyer who acts as agent to the Attorney General in civil lawsuits or acts in criminal matters for prosecutions. A Crown wardship, on the other hand, in child protection cases, is a child who has been placed permanently in the care of a children's aid society. The state or Crown becomes the child's legal parent and has rights and responsibilities as a parent. Custody, on the other hand, means to take the care and control of a thing or person. For example, in criminal matters, a person is taken into custody upon arrest or while awaiting trial. It also means, in family law cases, the arrangement made for the care of children when parents separate or the children are found to be in need of protection. The different types of child custody arrangements include joint custody, shared custody, sole custody, and split custody. Stay tuned and subscribe on this channel for an upcoming video on a description of each of those types of custody and other types of parenting arrangements and leading cases or case law that supports each of those circumstances. Customary care is in child protection cases where a child is placed in the care and supervision of an Aboriginal person who is not the child's parent according to the custom of the child's band or native community. Thank you for watching and supporting the Self-Represented Litigants Society. Please visit our website at irepmyself.com.